students, I am Dr. Anuradha, Associate Professor in the Department of Physiology, Sree Balaji Medical College, Chennai. I have more than 17 years in teaching experience and have more than 9 publications in national and international index journals. Today, let us discuss about cardiac output. So, let us start with the objectives of today's class. At the end of this class, you will be knowing the definition of cardiac output, distribution of cardiac output, and the regulation of cardiac output. So, let us begin from the definition. As per the definition, the cardiac output is defined as the volume of blood ejected from each ventricle per minute. That's why it's also called as minute volume, and it's given by the formula cardiac output equal to stroke volume and heart rate. Here stroke volume is the amount of blood which is pumped by each ventricle per stroke, which is around 80 ml, and heart rate is the number of time the heart pumps per minute, which is around 60 to 100 per minute. Let us see some related terms. Cardiac index. Cardiac index is the cardiac output per square meter of body surface area, and end diastolic volume, which is the volume of blood which is in the ventricles at the end of diastole, which is roughly around 130 ml per minute. And end systolic volume is the amount of blood which is in the ventricles at the end of systole. And ejection fraction is the fraction of blood which is pumped from the ventricle during each beat, that is around 65%. And coming to the distribution of cardiac output. Under resting condition, the cardiac output 5 liter is distributed majorly to the liver and gastrointestinal tract, which is around 1500 ml. Then 1200 ml goes to the kidney. Brain receives about 750 ml of cardiac output per minute, and around 250 ml of blood is moving to the heart by itself. Skeletal muscle receives around 900 ml of blood per minute, and remaining 1000 ml, that is 1 liter of blood per minute, is going to the bones and skin. Now coming to the regulation of cardiac output. Cardiac output is regulated by 4 mechanisms. First one is the myocardial contractility, second is the heart rate, third is the peripheral resistance, last one is a venous return. Let us see one by one. Under myocardial contractility, there are 2 regulations, heterometric regulation and homometric regulation. Heterometric regulation follows the Frank-Starling's law of heart, which means within physiological limits, the force of contraction is proportionate to the end diastolic volume, which we saw in the beginning of the class. End diastolic volume is the amount of the blood which is in the ventricle at the end of diastole. Next, we will move on to the homometric regulation, that is the regulation of the heart by the nerves. We have sympathetic and parasympathetic. Sympathetic supply is by the sympathetic nerves, and at the end of the sympathetic nerve, the neurotransmitter called norepinephrine is released, which will increase the heart rate as well as the force of contraction. Thereby, it will increase the cardiac output. Next, parasympathetic nerves, which is also called as vagus nerve. Acetylcholine is a neurotransmitter which is released at the end of the nerves, which will decrease the heart rate as well as which will decrease the force of contraction, and thereby decreases our cardiac output. So, sympathetic system will be more active when we are active, and parasympathetic will be active when we are resting. That's why our heart rate and cardiac output increases whenever we are actively doing some work, and our heart rate and cardiac output will decrease when we are relaxing or at rest. Next, we will move on to the heart rate. Cardiac output is directly proportionate to the heart rate. Whenever the heart rate increases, cardiac output will increase. Whenever the heart rate decreases, cardiac output will decrease. Next is the peripheral resistance, which is also called as afterload, which is the resistance offered by the peripheral vessels. There are factors which will influence the peripheral resistance. The first is the diameter of the blood vessel. If the diameter of the blood vessel increases, the resistance will decrease. Whereas if it decreases, the resistance will increase. Next is the elasticity of the blood vessel. If the blood vessel is elastic in nature, then the peripheral resistance will decrease and cardiac output will increase. Next, viscosity of the blood. If the viscosity is inversely proportionate to the cardiac output, if the blood is more viscous, cardiac output will be decreased. Next, the velocity of the blood flow. If the velocity of the blood flow increases, cardiac output also will increase. The last is the venous return, which depends on the end diastolic volume. When the end diastolic volume increases, then cardiac output will increase. That depends on the venous return. There are various pumps and other factors which will regulate the venous return. We will see one by one. First is the respiratory pump. When you take a deep inspiration, our thoracic cage will expand. There will be negative pressure created in the heart, so blood will be pulled into the heart. So venous return increases. If the venous return increases, cardiac output also will increase. So this is a respiratory pump. Vice versa during expiration. Then cardiac pump. Heart is a good pump. If it pumps better, then cardiac output will be better and venous return also will be better. Then muscle. Muscle is a second heart for our body. When we are active, the calf muscles will contract and it will pump more blood to the heart. So the venous return will increase, ultimately the cardiac output also will increase. Next is a venomotor tone, that is a tone in the peripheral veins. When the veins constrict, it will increase the venous return to the heart, so cardiac output also will increase. Next is the gravity. When you stand in a place for longer time, because of the gravitational force, blood will be pulled to the lower limb, so venous return to the heart decreases, ultimately cardiac output also will decrease. That is a reason for fainting when you stand for longer time. Next, the force of pump. When our vascular system is very active and forcefully pumping the blood, then the cardiac output also will be increased. Last one is the blood volume. The cardiac output ultimately depends on the blood volume. If the blood volume is normal, the cardiac output will be normal. If blood volume decreases due to various reasons like dehydration or blood loss, cardiac output will decrease. So to sum up, there are four major factors which regulates the cardiac output. First is the myocardial contractility. Second is the peripheral resistance. Third is the heart rate. Last one is the venous return. All these factors will directly influence the cardiac output, and the factors which influences all these four factors will indirectly contribute to the cardiac output. With this, we will come to the end of today's class. Thank you for patient listening.